pray for my father and celebrate his life. My dad, Steve Spretnjak, was 93 years old when he passed away. So it's hard to sum up his life in 5 minutes. I can only share some values learned from my experience of him as a man and a father: family, faith, freedom, and food. Dad's parents were immigrants from the former Yugoslavia. They lived near the steel mills in Chicago where his dad worked. Dad's parents raised Dad and his 3 sisters as lifelong Catholics, taking them to church frequently and sending them to Catholic schools. Dad's parents were very strict and not afraid to punish him. And Dad learned the importance of leading a moral life and how to excel at school. So it is no surprise that as a boy, Dad wanted to be a priest. But then he met my mom in kindergarten, and Dad struggled between becoming a priest and marrying my mom for many years. Dad interrupted his education to serve in the army. He was stationed in occupied Japan shortly after the atomic bombs were dropped. He witnessed the horror of the nuclear war and only talked about it when asked if he had ever experienced trauma in his life. After coming home from the war, Dad returned to school and was the first in his family to graduate from college, and graduated at the top of his engineering class. It was during these years that Dad made the decision that he wanted to marry my mom and start a family with her. They shared the values of faith and family, and they raised me and my 2 older brothers and sisters as lifelong Catholics and worked hard to send us all to Catholic schools and universities. Dad was a very strict father, not afraid to punish us. We often felt unhappy and sometimes hurt by his punishments, but he always did it out of love for us, as he felt he was pushing us to excellence and to exceed our own expectations of ourselves. Influenced by my mom's gentler approach, he mellowed over time, and being the youngest child, I benefited the most from that. Mom's influence on Dad not only deepened the values they held in common, family and faith, but greatly increased Dad's value of the fine arts, music, and charitable works. All things Dad would continue after Mom's early death at 60 years old. After Mom passed away, Dad grieved for a long time and then remembered his desire as a child to become a priest. He went through discernment for the priesthood for a few years, but was not accepted for the seminary. That was perhaps Dad's greatest disappointment in life. Dad's accomplishments in life were often the result of his stubbornness to do things his own way and to fix things other people did poorly. As an engineer, Dad received patents for designing a pivoting vent window and sliding glass panels for cars and recreational vehicles. The key point was that they worked without water leaking, the common problem he fixed by applying his stubbornness until he found the solution. But that stubbornness did not always work in the way he intended. Dad was not discouraged from searching for a vocation within the church, and he soon became an extraordinary minister of Holy Communion and began taking the Eucharist to hospitalized and homebound Catholics. He showed us that age and disappointments should not stop us from finding a way to express our faith in service to the church. Dad's faith ran deep in his daily life. He went out of his way to attend Mass every day. And because he listened to and prayed the rosary while in the car, he often told us the distance between cities by the number of rosaries he said while driving between them. As for freedom, Dad was determined to try and achieve and do whatever he wanted to do. He taught us that we could pursue whatever we wanted, but we needed to be careful to make good choices with an eye on our future, not just the present moment. He pushed us to consider the long-term effects of our decisions and equally pushed our teachers to provide us with the best education so we could excel with what we chose. Dad also showed us that sometimes it was good to choose things just because we liked them. Dad loved golf, even though he was never a great golfer, and he played as often as possible, even though it sometimes annoyed my mother. Golf was his personal passion, and he shared that with all his children and grandchildren. And Dad even found a way to combine his faith and family with golf by organizing an annual Knights of Columbus father-son golf outing for many years to raise money for scholarships for needy Catholic boys. Another thing Dad enjoyed most in life was food. Dad enjoyed eating, and he did not like that mood interrupted by loud children. So he sometimes repeated his own father's words to begin meals. Mozjebe, which Dad loosely translated as shut up and eat. Perhaps the only thing that came close to receiving and consuming the Eucharist at Mass was eating dessert. As Holy Communion should be shared in community, it is no surprise that one of Dad's favorite things to do when celebrating his birthday was to share his favorite desserts with everyone in his life. When asked what kind of pie he liked, Dad would reply, "I only like two kinds of pie, hot and cold." Dad's love for desserts also taught us to pay attention to and enjoy the simple moments in life. Even as a man in his 90s, Dad would say, "Life is short. Eat dessert first." And perhaps that all led to a good ending for him and this eulogy.